All right, to talk more about this, we're joined now via Skype by Zahra Billoo. She's the Executive Director of the Council on American-Islamic Relations for the Bay Area. Zahra, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
I want to first get your reaction to the president's comments. And he said that presumptive Republican nominee Donald Trump, that his comments will make Muslims feel like their government has betrayed them. Is that accurate?
That is correct. Many Muslims are concerned about the possibility that someone who seems to spew anti-Muslim rhetoric, but also anti-immigrant rhetoric and so much other divisive vitriol could potentially be our president. That is a very real concern in our community. And so President Obama's comments were appreciated and welcomed by CAIR and others.
And after Mr. Trump's comments, are you concerned about a backlash against Muslim Americans?
Unfortunately, what we've seen is that it's not the terrorist attacks alone that lead to the backlash. It is oftentimes the rhetoric by people like Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, and others who were once in that race. And so, unfortunately, the concern of backlash has become the new normal for many members of the Muslim community over the last 6 months.
Well, let's, though, talk about these shootings and some of the response by those who are supporters of Donald Trump and feel like something needs to be done. And when you look at these mass shootings, one that seems to be happening after another, what indeed can be done? And how do you address those supporters who believe that there should be stronger immigration policies in place, perhaps not to the extent of Donald Trump?
The common thread in the mass shootings is access to these weapons. Why did Omar Mateen own legally an AR-15? Why does anyone need an AR-15? I think there are other issues, of course, of homophobia and transphobia that have been center in this investigation, or that we're working with our partners on. And part of that is that it's not a simple issue. It's not just an ISIS issue. That makes it too easy. It makes it good for rhetoric, good for political races, but it doesn't actually solve the problem. Here we're looking at a number of issues: access to guns, possibly mental health and domestic violence, homophobia and transphobia, and then potentially like this man being self-radicalized. And so by making it about one issue, Donald Trump and his supporters don't actually move us further in stopping violence.
And what are you recommending to young Muslim families that are raising kids here in the United States under the Muslim faith? What do you say to those young children? What do parents tell them?
We point to comments like President Obama's. We point to the allyship and solidarity that members of the LGBT community have extended to the Muslim community in recent days to say very clearly that we don't want this attack on one community to be used as a tool to facilitate attacks on the Muslim community. And so we point to moments of hope. It's difficult to not get lost in the depressing news. And then, of course, the other thing is parents are dealing also with anxiety of when to talk to kids about this, when and how to deal with school bullying. And so we're also working on those ends where we're saying, look, there might be a certain age where it's just too young to bring up the issue with a child. Or if your child is experiencing harassment at school, that it's really important that they get help, that their teachers and administrators are brought in. And so it's again, a complicated matter, but children have, I would say, been some of the most deeply impacted by what is going on across communities: the Muslim community, the immigrant community, the LGBT community. It's hardest for young people at times.
Yeah, and that perhaps is the saddest part of all of this. Zahra Billoo, thank you very much for sharing your perspective.